Welcome to the Finance Marketing Podcast, a show that empowers finance professionals to market their businesses in ways that feel good and actually achieve results. I'm your host, Hillary. I've been working with folks in financial services to develop marketing strategies that work and create results-oriented marketing content since 2020. And I've learned a lot about what works in finance marketing, what doesn't work, and where financial services pros get stuck. Join us each Friday as we explore real, effective ways to market your finance business and connect with folks who truly embody your ideal clients. My guest this week is James Pollard, founder of theadvisorcoach.com and host of the Financial Advisor Marketing Podcast. He helps financial advisors get more clients and grow their businesses through proven marketing strategies. I've been following James on LinkedIn for years, and I have always been impressed by his no-nonsense approach to marketing and his willingness to share strategies that actually work, even when they go against conventional wisdom. James has a background in psychology and has spent years studying what makes marketing effective, particularly for financial advisors. So when we finally had the chance to sit down and record this episode, I knew exactly what I wanted to talk to him about, which was direct mail marketing. So in this conversation, James breaks down why direct mail is still one of the most effective marketing strategies for financial advisors, even in our digital age. We dive into the economics of direct mail and why advisors don't need high response rates to still see highly profitable results, how to acquire targeted mailing lists, including a gold standard strategy that almost no one uses, and the exact structure and copywriting formulas James uses to create letters that convert prospects into clients. James also shares why less polished, more personal copy often outperforms professional marketing language and how to build effective follow-up sequences that vary both medium and message. So what I really liked about this conversation is how practical and actionable everything that James shares is. If you have ever been curious about direct mail or never even thought about it as a marketing strategy, but are interested in seeing how it might help you, this episode may completely shift your perspective and give you a clear roadmap for implementing direct mail into your own practice to attract more ideal clients. So without further ado, let's dive in. James, I'm so excited to have you on the Finance Marketing Podcast today. How are you?
Wonderful. I'm very glad to be able to do this. Thank you for working with me. We had to reschedule, but here we are, and I'm even more pumped to deliver a great podcast for your listeners.
I am so glad that you're here too. I've been following you on LinkedIn for years and years, and so it's really special to me that we finally get to meet and record a podcast episode for my listeners. Will you tell us just a little bit about who you are, how you got into this, how long you've been working with advisors?
Well, I have a very shortened version, a condensed version, and it kind of goes like this. So the reason that my company is called The Advisor Coach is because I started with coaching. Don't really do coaching at all anymore. I get tons of requests, and it's just not really my thing. I'm kind of out of it. Coaching has its pros and cons. I'll just put it that way. And I have always had a passion for personal finance and psychology. And I actually have an academic background in psychology. That's literally what my degree is in. Am I using it? Yes and no. So we can talk about that some other time. But I've always been involved in marketing professionally and really by necessity, because I had different businesses that I had to grow myself with marketing. I have always wanted to study it as a hobby. Never really thought that I could make it a career. Again, like personal finance, psychology, those were my things, right? That I was studying seriously. But marketing started to grow on me, like I said, because I had to make it work. I had to go out and get customers. I had to grow the websites that I was building. I had to help my family recruited me into one of their businesses. This is when I was in my 20s, and they were like, "Hey, we see what you're doing with your businesses. Can you help me grow or help us grow this business?" And I was like, "Absolutely, I can do that." So as that happened, my marketing skills got better and better and better and better. And there was a financial advisor in Delaware who was like, "Hey, I would like your help in growing my financial services business." And I was like, "Okay, I've never really done that, but I like personal finance. I know how personal finance consumers think. I know how people view financial planning and financial services and financial advice, because that's the world I was in, and did really well with that. Got referral after referral after referral. And eventually it struck me that I should probably do this more seriously and make a business out of it. So I did. and I made a whole bunch of mistakes. I did a lot of stuff wrong in the beginning. I did the coaching thing. The reason I stopped doing it was because it just got tiresome. I was tired of repeating the same. I had a little system that worked, and it's not necessarily that to the man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail, but I just wanted people to listen to me and do what I said because they would get results. But you do that a couple hundred times and it just gets old. So I started branching out into what marketers would call info products, like books and trainings and courses and newsletters and things. And that is the current version of theadvisorcoach.com.
Well, one thing that you talk about on LinkedIn quite often, which I find to be quite unique and different, is direct mail marketing. I think there's kind of maybe a incorrect assumption that direct mail marketing doesn't work, or that direct mail marketing is old fashioned. And you have gotten incredible results from direct mail marketing. And I know that you've helped your clients or your members also build direct mail marketing processes into their own marketing as well. So can we dive right in and get into direct mail marketing?
Sure. I actually have this right here is a paper folder. And whenever I want to send stuff manually, I would just fold it right there. And we can talk about that too. There's sometimes I will do batches where I'll mail a couple thousand and I'll use the service because I don't want to do that by hand. But the more you get into direct mail, the more you realize the power is really in the personalization. So in many cases, you might be better off. I don't want to say might, you probably will be better off doing it yourself and legitimately taking a pen, writing on your letter, hey, saw that you do this, or I followed you on LinkedIn last week and love this. Like legitimately, that personalization is what can make the difference.
It sounds like,
but we can get into that.
Yeah, it sounds like this is a way to, it's like meeting somebody at your local Rotary Club or like an in-person event, but through the mail. And it sounds like kind of one of the only ways that you can really prove that this is personal with your handwriting. You can't do that with email. You can use language that makes it really personal, but you can't make it handwritten, right? And do you find that there's just something about that handwritten element that makes it different?
Well, that's kind of like pouring gasoline on a fire. I don't do that all the time. Sometimes people will come to me and ask questions where it seems like they're in a desperate situation. And I don't like that. I don't really like to take those people on as clients. I actually don't. I've tried to push them away, but I do give them something that can help them. And that's the thing that I tell them. If you absolutely must get a response, personalize it. But the real magic in direct mail, or one of the many magical parts, is the real estate. That's what it is. My process for direct mail is actually pretty simple. I like to send basic. Now, there are a million ways you can do direct mail. There are tons of other ways. There's really, you can get results with a lot of different things. This is not supposed to be set in stone. This is just what I recommend generally, is a number 10 envelope, just a plain white envelope, the basic envelope that you get. That's like a nickel a piece, right? From the dollar store or from Walmart or from Amazon. Then you have 3 pages printed front and back, because the limit at the United States Post Office for that number 10 envelope, they say it's 4 pages. The reason I recommend 3 is because I've gotten 4 rejected in the past, because it has to be a certain width or thickness. And if it doesn't fit through the slot, they say no and they turn it away. So just to be safe, I say 3. But what is 3 pages printed front and back? It's actually 6 full pages of content about who you help, how you help, what you do, why the person should care, why the person should trust you specifically, where you are, how you meet, what to bring to the meeting. You can do a frequently asked questions section, which is actually one of the secrets that I give. There's so much that you can put in 6 pages that you can't put in social media. You can't necessarily put in email. Yes, you can put it in an autoresponder, but you can't just blast it out and have someone engaged right there reading your copy. It's just a tremendous amount of real estate. Now, you put that in the number 10 envelope, you put a forever stamp on it. It's right now it's 73 cents. So we're at maybe $1 if you count a list rental, and paper and ink is very expensive for you. We're at like $1 each right now. So if you have 1,000 people that you want to mail to, it's $1,000. You can't get that much information in front of 1,000 people for $1,000 almost anywhere else. So just from a sheer economics perspective, it's better than so many other marketing strategies. And there are lots of levers you can pull. I don't want to drone on forever, but I'll give you a specific example of why I like to focus on economics. There are some marketers out there who will say, if you can get a higher response rate by sending a FedEx envelope, that's true. You can, because when someone gets a FedEx envelope, that person is like, wow, this is really important. I should open this. But the FedEx envelope, the UPS envelope, the urgent envelope is far more expensive. I would much rather, just based on pure economics now, take a lower response rate with my little old number 10 envelope, but have a lower cost per appointment booked, then have a higher response rate with the envelope. Now, that would change if I had a potential billionaire client where it really wouldn't make a difference at the end of the day, and I absolutely had to get a response. Then, oh yeah, I'm sending a FedEx envelope and I'm sending a lumpy item. Like, I'm sending this because I want that thing to get opened. But just straight up, get the marketing strategy done, like get clients. Your baseline should be what I said, the number 10, 6 pages, which is 3 pages front and back with information, and send it out.
Okay, I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. I really appreciate you kind of breaking down how simple this can be. So I think my first question is, because I think there's just this common misconception that direct mail marketing is outdated. You know that it's not. What kind of response rate, like let's say you're sending out 1,000 of these and you're sending them to a targeted list, you know that the people that are going to be receiving them are people that you would essentially like to work with to some degree. What kind of response rate are you looking for to know that this is working, I should double down on this, or I need to make some adjustments to my letter?
There really isn't a response rate. So the Direct Marketing Association will say that the average response rate for direct mail is like 5.3%. I don't think that's true. They'll say it's like 9% for prospect list. I don't know if that's true. Maybe if your prospects are super, super warm and have heard of you, these have got to be people who have attended a webinar and who have been to your website. So the numbers are hard to trust. I don't really have response rates that I look for. I have 2 things though. Number 1 is dollars in and dollars out. Quite frankly, and this might be a mindset shift for some financial advisors, but I hope it's not. The lifetime value of a client for a financial planner, financial advisor is so high that it's almost hard to lose money with any marketing strategy. I really shouldn't say that, because I'm kind of in the business of saying like, oh, I've got this thing that can help you in this secret tactic that will make you so, a bunch of money. But the truth is that their lifetime value is just so darn high. You compare that with a company like Nike. I think the average purchase amount for a pair of shoes from Nike is $111. And the profit made on each pair of shoes is like 10. Don't quote me on that, but it's around that. So $10, okay? I don't know what their lifetime value is. Let's say that the average person buys 40 shoes from Nike over the course of his or her life. That's $400. But for a financial advisor, financial planner, it could be tens of thousands, easily. So I view that as number 1, dollars in versus dollars out. If you spend $1,000 on direct mail and you only get 1 client, yeah, that's an abysmal response rate for the marketing industry and for direct mail. But it doesn't matter for financial advisors. However, with that said, as a professional marketer, I have a threshold for when I begin to worry. And I when people ask me about open rates, I'm like, it doesn't matter, but if it's like 10%, that's bad. Or they're like, what's my LinkedIn connection request? I'm like, it does not matter, but if it's 5%, that's horrible. So
Yes.
It would be horrible if it was like a 1/4%. If my baseline is 1%, I like to think in terms of 1%. And by response rate, I mean people setting an appointment with you. So if you send 100, you should get 1 appointment. Now, working with someone like me might get, sometimes people will think I can get it to like 5 or 6. I can't. I don't think there's anyone in the world that could get it to 5 or 6 unless you change the list in some meaningful way. But I might be able to get it to 2. So if a financial advisor comes to me and says, you charge a bunch of money to help with direct mail, I'm only going to send 1,000. It probably doesn't make sense to work with me. But if you're going to send 50,000 because you want a bunch of appointments, then yeah, going to 2% is going to make a meaningful difference in your campaign, and I would be profitable for you. So I look at it that way. But the truth is, the dollars in, dollars out is what matters the most. So I start there. It does get discouraging for advisors when they send a couple hundred and they don't get any responses whatsoever. They feel heartbroken, but they don't understand that the next 100 they send might get 3 or 4 people to set an appointment, making your average statistically valid.
Right. And to your point, if you only send a few hundred, but you don't get any responses, at that point, you've only spent a few $100s, and you've put some seeds out there that you can then build on. So do you recommend when you're sending direct mail that you send to the same list multiple times?
Yes. Yep. So I actually just talked about this with the newsletter subscribers on Tuesday. We talked about the debt collection industry. So the debt collection industry sends multiple letters, and they do so because it works. And you have to think, this is a good marketing mindset to have. Whenever you observe something that works in an environment that is difficult, you should probably apply that to things that are, or environments that are easier. So debt collection letters are sent to people who have not paid their debt for whatever reason. The reason is probably because they have no money to pay the debt. So if these letters can get money from people who legitimately do not have any money, maybe that strategy can be applied elsewhere. I've noticed that with tabloid advertisements, where tabloid advertisements will sell this crazy weight loss pill and people buy it like gangbusters. But if you take that copy structure and the feeling behind that copy and apply it to something legitimate that can actually help people, that's real, you could probably make a killing. So that's how I think about that topic.
Yeah. I love how it's just like, advisors know that they're selling something that's so valuable, and yet I think they're so afraid that they're going to come across as like spammy, or I don't know. Well, actually, I think I do know where that mindset comes from. But I think to your point, it's like, just stop thinking so hard about it and just trust yourself.
Yeah, I think it comes from ego. Unfortunately, and that might be like controversial.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think a lot of these people, and I love financial advisors, obviously, but it's a little bit of narcissism to think that people are thinking about you so much that they even get to the point where they think that you're spammy or bothering them or whatever.
Yeah. That's very valid, I think. So this might come across as a silly question, but I'm going to ask anyways, because I think people might want to know. As a person who focuses primarily on digital marketing, it's really easy to think about CTAs and to say like, oh, well, we'll just put a button here, right? Or we'll just link to our calendar appointment here. What kind of CTAs do you use in direct mail marketing to get somebody to actually stop reading the letter and go and take an action?
Phone call is number one, or not, and a website or whatever your calendar is or your scheduler. The reason why is because phone call is the dominant way that people respond to direct mail.
Okay.
This is especially true in the 55 and older audience. I think, I can't remember, it was like 83 or 85% of all affluent investors in the United States are 55 and older. So you can make a bunch more money by just buying lists that are 55 and older. That's a direct mail lesson, but it's typically phone call. The reason you want to do, and this breaks a marketing rule. So marketing books will tell you one call to action, one call to action, one call to action. The reason you break it here is because when Joe gets home from work or from golfing at 5:01, opens your letter, puts it off to the side, comes back at 5:45, reads it again. So lesson there, reads it again, realizes, oh shoot, I really want to call this person, but his office is closed. because it's after 5. Now he has a place to go. When he is feeling the emotion to go to set an appointment, he can instead just go whip out his phone or go to his computer or put the letter on the desk for later and go to the website and schedule an appointment. Or if he does put it on the desk to schedule or to do something for later, it might be the next day when he calls you, or maybe it may be the next week. But yeah, phone call is the dominant way, plus wherever your calendar is. Like go to mywebsite.com/schedule.
So would you recommend having, obviously I wouldn't think you'd want to send them to just the homepage, right?
No.
You want to send them to a landing page with just to schedule. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. The benefit to sending them to a page that is on your website. This is getting very nitty gritty, but if you send them to a page that's on your website, then you have more credibility there, where they can view, how does this work? What does this person look like? Like pictures increase conversions sometimes. What is this going to feel like? What is this going to do for me? They could just get the copy there on the website. Is that a deal breaker? Not necessarily, because truthfully, if they encounter any problems with the website or they're hesitant, they can still call you. But the more time that you put between them taking that action and your marketing materials, the lower your conversion rate is going to be. Is it going to make a huge difference? Probably not. But I mean, it is what it is.
Okay. So we talked about, you're not just sending one letter to someone, you're sending multiple letters. Are you sending the same letter or are you sending different letters?
It doesn't make that big of a difference. Going back to, it doesn't make that big of a difference for the second letter. This is my personal philosophy, going back to the debt collection. The debt collection is not going to go from, you owe us money, pay now, to, let me tell you a story about someone who owed money in the past who paid to us, and that sort of thing. Like that's something that I would recommend with email, like the objection busting approach, but not necessarily with direct mail. It's basically the same letter put in a different way where it still leads to the same outcome, because you shouldn't reinvent the wheel anyway. But the third approach, and if you only want to send 2, then you would do this on the second letter. I like to send 3, so you would do this on the third one. I like to send a little card. And in that card, you basically say something to the effect of, I'm the guy that mailed you the previous letters. I'm not going to mail you again. I think that you would be a good fit, or I want to help you. I'm interested in working with you, whatever it is that you're doing. Here's my phone number. Here's my email or my website. And that's it. The reason you want to do that, one of the biggest mistakes I saw financial advisors making when I was coaching them is they refused, in many cases, to vary their medium and message. I saw this specifically with cold calls, where they would leave this, they would follow up, but so that's the same medium. So the phone call is the marketing medium. They would leave the same voicemail. That's the same message. I saw upticks in their business by changing the medium, which today is obvious, but like in 2015, it was a breakthrough, where they would send an email, or they would connect on LinkedIn, or they would go somewhere else. So change the medium, or I recommend doing both, but you don't have to. Changing the message. So not just with the voicemail, that would be same medium, different message. So you say, hey, I called you yesterday, but didn't hear from you. I'm a little worried now. Give me a call back. Something like that. Or on LinkedIn, you just connect. You don't even reference the phone call, or maybe you do. It's just a completely different message. So you do that with direct mail. So direct mail would be the same medium, but it's the same medium of direct mail, but not necessarily, because it's a handwritten card. It's not a letter. So in that sense, the medium has changed and the message has also changed. It's just very short, to the point. Hey, I reached out to you. Like, the effect is, I'm serious. I'm a real person. I want you specifically. Please get back to me. But if you don't, that's okay.
Okay. So let's say I am interested in trying direct marketing for myself. I've never done it before. How do I get a list of people that I'm going to send mail to?
There are a bunch of ways. So getting the list is actually the easiest part. It could be as easy as Googling whatever your audience is, list rental. I'm going to give 2 companies. There used to be one called Info USA. I think now it's either Exact Data or Data Axle. And if it's not one or the other, then there's another. The other one is the list rental company. So it's like Exact Data, you have Data Axle. You can go to them and say, I want people in Florida who are 55 and older, who own a home. That's a good thing to filter for, home ownership, because it's correlated with so many other factors in wealth and wealth management.
Right.
You could say, I want people in Maine who are this, or family and with children, and so on and so forth. I would put your niche in Google and whatever that is, and say mailing list rental, and make sure you get the actual mailing list and not the email list, because they try to sell you emails too. You don't necessarily need those. If you want to do cold email, I'm not a cold email guy. I don't really recommend cold email, but I'm not naive enough to believe that financial advisors won't try it.
Yeah.
So that's what you do. The absolute best way to rent a list, bar none, and I'm going to share this because I know 99.9% of people will not do this, so I feel comfortable, is to go to a magazine or, a magazine is pretty much the gold standard. An actual physical print magazine. Now, why would you want to do that? Maybe because it's indicative of people getting mail and reading mail. So you go to a magazine that your market would read. You contact the media section of that company. So you request what's called a media kit. And in that media kit, there may or may not be information about renting the list. If there is, awesome. You contact them, say, I would like to rent this list. And if you're me, then you say, hey, can you chop it up a little bit more for me? Do you have any other ways to segment that? That's what I would do. But you can just rent it. If there's nothing about list rental in the media kit, you contact them and you say, hey, I'm a financial advisor. I would like to do this. I'd like to send a letter. I can show you the letter before. And dirty little secret also, these companies seed the list. So if you ever feel like, oh, I want to mail it again, I'll rent it once, but I'll mail it one more time, you're going to get your ass busted, because they seed it and they get the letters and they know that you're trying to rip them off. So don't do that. So they're going to see it anyway, but be proactive and say, I'll show you the letter. And if you're okay with that, I'd like to send it to this list. And maybe they'll say yes. They probably will, because the media kit part of the business they're in business to make the money from that. Right. That's like K9 Magazine is for police officers. There's Self-Reliance. I'm not saying that they rent lists. They may have in the past. There's Self-Reliance for agriculture. There's just a million different lists and magazines, but that's the gold standard.
Okay, I feel like you just dropped a gold bomb on us.
No one's going to do it. But that's the way to do it. If you have an occupation-based niche, try to rent the list of the trade journal or whatever the thing is that your industry reads. So financial advisors get the Financial Advisor magazine and the Journal of Financial Planning and so on and so forth. Every industry has those things. And if you think they don't, it's because you don't know the market well enough. So if you can find that and they let you rent the list, then you have no excuse not to run that thing.
Right. Right. Now, I know you're a big believer in, if I'm going to tell you to do something, I better be doing it myself too, and having gotten results from it myself too. I'm assuming this is something that you have done in your own business.
I have not done it with financial advisor magazines. Like I have not gotten the list from the magazines, but I've rented different lists. I mean, you have to at some point. Yeah. And if you want to scale your marketing, you have to. Days, I like doing the paper folding and sending like 2 or 3 every now and then. Like if I know I can help someone, like if it's drop dead obvious, then I'll send a letter. That's kind of where I'm at today. I don't do a ton of outbound anymore. Right. But if it's so obvious, then yes, I will send a letter and I'll be like, look, this is your website. I've helped someone with a very similar situation achieve this result. I'm not guaranteeing that you'll get the same result, but if you'd like to try, then this is what to do.
Okay. I love that. Yeah. I feel like this is just a really great way to do outbound, but at scale, right? It's much more scalable than cold calling or even cold emailing, it sounds like too.
Yeah. I think so. I've gotten a lot of criticism from my direct mail as well. The biggest criticism that I get is that it's too marketery. Like it's too not polished, but you could tell that like a copywriter wrote it, and that would be me. So it's too much.
Mm,
Like I at this point in my career, I straddle the line or the fence of like too good to be true.
mm,
And that bites me in the butt sometimes
mhm,
because it's just too much. Like I have my newsletter page critiqued, the inner circle critiqued by A-list copywriters. I try to do like once a year
mhm,
where I'll hire somebody new and I'll say, hey, just tell me everything that you notice about this page and how to make it better.
mhm,
Lots of money has gone into that page.
mm,
And for the past few years, the criticism has been it's too polished. Like it's
mm,
too much of a marketer.
mm.
And it's hard for me to get away from that. But the good news is the reason I bring that up is because financial advisors who are nervous about sending direct mail take solace in the fact that if you're not that good, it's probably going to work better.
Right, right. Because you might be coming across as a little bit just more like as a human, I guess, who,
Yes, you need to be a regular person.
right.
I'll give you a specific example. The way to make local marketing work, like local direct mail,
Mhm,
is to say things like my kids grew up here. I went to high school here. I'm on Main Street here. I like Tony's Pizza down the street.
uh-huh,
Here's a picture of me. Here's a picture of Google Maps showing you exactly where my office is,
mm,
all that.
mhm,
And no marketer would really sit down and craft that out. They would say, no, you need a benefit and a feature, and you need the bullet points here and all that. Not necessarily.
right,
You need to build that connection.
right.
So it could be simply no copywriter would start a letter like, hi, my name is Joe, and I live in Upper New Jersey or in this town, Swedesboro, that's Southern, but Swedesboro, New Jersey. And I've been here for 45 years. My mom was the one who started Tony's Pizza. No copywriter would do that,
Right.
but it works because it feels like Joe.
Right. It feels like Joe. And it's so different. I mean, it stands
Yes,
out from a sea of marketing letters that they just pulled out of the mailbox. That one feels different. So, switching gears here a little bit, I know that your membership, you send a physical in the mail monthly newsletter to your members who pay for your newsletter.
I
You do
do.
not send it by email. Talk to me about the decision making there. Why is that more valuable?
So I actually have a newsletter here. This is one of the newsletters. This is not mine, but this is one of the newsletters I subscribe to.
Mm,
I get this by email
mm,
and I print it so I can read it.
mm,
And the reason is, well, there's a couple, but the main one is that neurologically, it's better.
mhm,
You're more likely to comprehend it. Your reading speed is a little bit better, at least the way I design it. So I use serif fonts.
mm,
So serif fonts are designed to be more readable on paper.
mm,
If you ever get it, you notice that it's not white. It's actually an off-white, like a cream, like a yellow.
mm,
The reason why is because it's easiest to read. So studies have been done and have found that black on like a yellowish color is the easiest to read, not black on white.
mm.
So I've made it easier for people to read. I have made it faster for people to read so they can consume. These are things they don't even know that
Right.
I've thought about.
Right.
The paper is thicker, like it's a heavier paper. It's a 28-pound paper. So if you've ever held that in your hands, you know it's a thick
Mm,
paper. The reason I do that, there have been psychological studies with coffee, and the coffee, like if they hold the hot mug, they rate someone as warm. If they hold the cold mug, they rate someone as cold.
mm,
And their whole worldview is influenced by the things that they're holding. When they're holding the heavier, thicker paper, they view it as more valuable, as more serious. I don't mean that as a marketing tactic. Like
mhm.
I'm not trying to get them to think, oh yeah, this is more valuable, I got to give James money. I want them to treat it more seriously.
Right.
So when it's a heavier paper, it's easier to read, and reading comprehension is higher. They're more likely to use it.
Mm,
That's what I'm optimizing for.
mhm,
If they're more likely to use it, they're more likely to get results from it. If they're more likely to get results from it, they're more likely to stay.
mm, mhm.
So I'm actually, if anything, I'm trying to reduce churn.
Right.
That's like the secret marketer thing that I'm doing, is trying to reduce churn.
Mhm.
But the good news for them is that the only way I can reduce churn is if they benefit from it.
Right.
So I have to pull the puppet strings. Like that's the reason why. Some people will get the newsletter and be like, this is kind of strange. It's heavier paper. It's a different color. he writes in Courier font, which is
Mhm.
like the old typewriter font. The reason I use Courier is because in certain studies, it had the highest readability.
Wow.
Like that's it. There's no, like, I want you to be able to consume it and benefit from it.
Right. Right.
So that's the pulling behind the curtain secret sauce.
Well, I've seen, you post pictures of the newsletter cover page and you post those on LinkedIn. And whenever I see it, I always think to myself, like, wow, that looks really special. Like, I want one of those. And I think that it does have all of those little things that you said. I think those very much add up. And I think there is just something kind of special about receiving something in the mail rather than in your inbox. And you didn't mention this, but I'm going to ask you if this is a reason too. I feel like when we get emails, no matter how valuable that email is, I have 37 other tabs open at that time. And so just even if I'm looking straight at the email and I read the email all the way through, there are all these peripheral things that are distracting me from the content of the email. And I can imagine that's just not true when I have this paper newsletter in front of me. Sure, I might have other papers on my desk, right? But it's just a different thing happening psychologically there,
Yeah.
that I'm not being distracted as much.
I mean, that's part of it. Yeah. But the main reason is that they're just more likely to use it.
Mm, mhm,
I wouldn't really want to do, I mean, a long time ago, I experimented with an email newsletter,
mhm,
like an actual newsletter delivered by email.
mhm,
That was not the inner circle. It's never been that, but it was also just a pain.
mm,
And I don't know if it's because so the email newsletter that I tried was just very short. It was very cheap
mm,
and it tried to get customers at scale.
mm,
And because of that, whenever you have like a lower value product, generally speaking, not always, you tend to attract lower quality customers.
mhm,
And that they would do like chargebacks and say, "Oh, I never received it," or "It went to my spam," and it's just logistically, like as a business, it's a nightmare to
mm,
deal with.
mhm.
And I've gotten maybe like 4 chargebacks, I think, for the newsletter since 2017.
Wow.
So to put that in perspective, that's very, very, very few. And when they happen, I think 2 of them may have been not received,
Mhm,
and the other 2 were like just people, low quality customers.
mhm,
But whenever it's not received, I can just check. I have a tracking number. So in those cases, I can't remember if it was received or if it wasn't, but let's say that it was. Then I could just go to the credit card company and say, "Here you go. Here's the person's name. Here's the person's address. Here's the proof that it was received."
mm.
And for digital products, I mean, the credit card company is never going to let you win a
Right.
dispute.
Right.
So the logistics behind that, I mean, even since 2017, just little things like that, it makes your life easier.
Mm. Well, this has been such a great conversation, James. Is there anything that I haven't asked you yet about direct mail marketing that you think is just kind of foundational or that would be like an extra little tip?
You didn't ask me what to put in the letter,
Oh, what do you
what
put
to
in your
write about.
letter? Tell me
Yes.
what you put in the letter.
So this is very basic to you, but it probably won't be basic to your audience. So there are 2 famous copywriting formulas that I kind of like a lot. Number 1 is the attention, interest, desire, action formula.
Mm,
Very basic.
mm,
So, and I'm going to talk about the second one in a little bit, but let's just go with this one. Attention is your headline. One of my best headlines was swiped from a guy named Jay Abraham, and his was the amazing marketing secret of a genius who's afraid, the amazing marketing secret of a genius who's afraid to fly.
mm,
Mine was the amazing financial advisor marketing secret of a man terrified of making cold calls.
mm,
And I would lead in, I would say, "Hey, I really want to talk to you, but I'm terrified of making cold calls. I'm terrified of making cold calls. And to prove that I would have called you specifically, here's the number I would have called." And I put their phone number there.
mm,
And that gets them.
mm,
Like,
mhm.
you're reading that darn letter because I'm saying, this is your phone number.
Right.
And I was going to call you. So that gets it, right? So attention. Then interest is, why should you read this?
Mm,
Like, why are you mailing me and why should I care?
mm,
So in a financial advisor's case, it would be, you basically say, "I'm a financial advisor who works specifically with niche market, people like you. I've been doing this for 10 years and I've noticed a massive problem." I'm just spitballing here. It could be a lot,
Yeah.
but I've noticed a massive problem that many people in your in this target market face. And that is, and then whatever it is,
Mm,
it could be loss of retirement income. It could be poor planning. It could be why should they care? Right. the desire is ramping up, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
You should want retirement income because 82% of retirees struggle to make payments. And with the death of a spouse, it could be like this, and your life could be absolutely horrible, and you could have all these bad things happen to you. Or you could choose this path, and that's the action part. So attention, interest, desire, action. The action is you could choose the other path and prevent all of these bad things. You really should want to work with me, and here's how to do it.
Mm.
So, and then at the end, I mentioned earlier, the secret I like to give is the frequently asked questions.
Mm-hmm.
The frequently asked questions is where you handle objections.
Mm-hmm.
You are not answering questions for the sake of answering questions. You need to list out the objections that you get, like, will this take a lot of time? Or do I need to have a ton of money? Or what should I bring? Or you seem super young, or I don't work with anyone local, or I don't work with anyone virtually. And your questions are, what if I can't meet you in person? Answer, that's okay. I work with people virtually and we meet via Zoom. Or how long will this take? My first meeting tends to be 45 minutes and there's no obligation and no pressure. And you can decide at the end if we're a good fit. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Second formula, problem, agitate, solution. Very, very easy. Mm-hmm. So you start with, why do 82% of retirees struggle to pay their bills? It's like, because they don't have retirement income. And then you say, all these bad things could happen if you don't have retirement income and your life could be horrible. And then here's why you should want to work with me. That is the action, the solve. So the solution to this pain that we have established in this letter is you work with me, you call my office. And then again, frequently ask questions.
I love this. It sounds so simple, right? Of course, you and I know it's not always that simple, and it takes, a lot of finessing. I guess a follow-up question to this is, how many iterations or versions of your letter do you feel like you've sent out over time as you learn more things about your target market? Or are you one of those marketers who you wrote a letter, it's performed really well, you've never changed it?
Hundreds at least. But there are variations of things that I learn along the way. So let's say that I send an email that works extremely well. I'll be like, okay, let's try that in a direct mail. So that would be one version, or a direct mail letter. Or if a Facebook ad works extremely well, I'm like, let me take some components of that. Maybe it's the image and I'll put the image in a direct mail letter. Let's see if that works really well. For example, having a picture of just me tends to make the conversion go up. Then having a picture of me in a hoodie that says I heart financial advisors makes the conversions go up even more.
Right.
So there's different versions like that. One of the letters that I sent recently was a version of that cold call letter. And one of the sentences that I had in there was, I'm going to mail this letter to you, and then I'm going to go out to dinner. So the idea is, I'm sitting here writing this letter to you. I really want to help you. And then I'm just going to go out to dinner. Adding a little something about where I was going to dinner. So in parentheses, I would say, Texas Roadhouse, if you're curious, I'm a fiend for their cinnamon butter rolls. And then in the rest of the letter, I would make cinnamon butter roll jokes. Like, I'm getting hungry now. Can't wait for those. And the reason I know that specifically worked is because people reach out and mention that. And it was never put anywhere else. So they're like, hopefully you're not in the middle of eating those rolls.
Wow.
And I knew they were from that specific letter.
Interesting.
So it's just little things over the years that you pick up on.
Yeah.
That make it work.
I feel like I could spend the next 4 hours picking your brain on everything that you've tried, everything that you've learned, but unfortunately we don't have that kind of time. So James, if people want to connect with you, learn more about you, work with you, where are the best places that they can do that?
The best place to go is theadvisorcoach.com. So THE advisor, so ADVISOR, coach, COACH.com. The reason I recommend that is because you can kind of choose your own adventure. If you want to join the email list, you can. If you want to listen to the podcast that I host, you can. If you want to buy something, you can. You get to choose your fate. There is no like funnel necessarily right now. I mean, you could choose to go in one, but that you can choose what you want to do.
Amazing. Well, I will link to that in the show notes, and I'm going to link to your podcast in the show notes as well, because it's great. Everyone should listen to it. And I just want to say thank you, James, so much for coming on and sharing your time with us and some of your secrets.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Finance Marketing Podcast. If you're eager to market your business in a way that feels good and actually gets results, sign up for the Finance Marketing Podcast newsletter in the show notes so you never miss another episode. If you liked what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite listening app and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll see you back here next Friday.